Welcome back, Keepers of the Flame. One more freaking time. I can't take that blinding light in my face any longer. And since I'm not holding up cards, we're just going to leave it off. So, this is, going to be about apathy. And a lot of times we don't really assess jiggles. We don't assess that into account when we're talking about the abuse and how much damage the posse, the harem, the flying monkeys, whatever the heck you want to refer them as, a societal mechanism that we've conjured, I guess, if you could say. So how does the apathy look and function? We have kind of like given it this weird title that because you're not doing anything, you're not saying anything, that's the thing that makes you apathetic. That's actually not 100% true, okay? So apathy comes in where you see the pattern, you see the construct, you see the big fucking no-no, and you're like, I'm not saying anything. In fact, I'm going to double down and agree with the bully, who usually, not always, usually has some sort of power or authority in the room. So how do we bring this into the rubber meeting the road? Really easy peasy lemon squeezy, okay? There's, I don't want to blow up on the internet. So I'm going to use words like comedian rock and a plant, Jada. Okay, so comedian rock, plant, Jade Plant. Okay, that's what I'm going with. He goes, no, I'm not built for everyone, darling, and I'm well aware of this. So therefore, don't send this to anyone you think maybe might like it. They have to like it. I'm not made for the masses. I'm not made of that. I suppose in some circles that's a derogatory term. I apologize. I misspoke. I am not for the vast consumption, if you will, for the whole plethora. I'm just here supporting a few souls that might feel like a little bit alien in their skin right now and are just trying to get some like understanding of what's happening, because you're not with the general public, but you're not with a set group of people. You're kind of like in between, right? You're not fitting into societal constructs. You're also not fitting into this like wokish community manifestation thing. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to label the other side in one thing or another. You're like, you're not picking sides. That's where you're at if you like this channel, I'm presuming. So and I'm well aware that I have some weirdo stalkers who are not hitting the like button and watching my videos. I'm totally aware of it. I'm not ignorant to that either. So I probably have haters that are here going, we just don't like you, so we're just gonna watch your video. I'm so like cool with it. Whatever. If you want to waste your Vital Life Force energy listening to someone you don't like and you don't agree with, or you're here for stealing ideas, ooh, you're gonna get zapped next week, bro. Okay. So, what does this look like when we're breaking the apathy down? Okay, so the whole thing happened with the thing, and then the rock of the comedian put out a special on a platform. Okay, and then everybody is making a big deal out of it. Okay, I'm just using this as an example. I'm not attacking anyone. I watched the special. I watched the whole thing. I laughed. I thought it was hilarious. At the very same time, and again, being human, whilst in the form of complete and total understanding that bullies, and that's what was happening from the get-go, from the first vowel spoken out of that particular person's mouth was bullying. Let us not forget that. Okay. Someone was sitting there in a physical form and had a particular physical attribute for what she claims to have a disease. I am not here to argue the things. I'm here to argue what we witnessed. Okay? So, attack on physical appearance, which to me raises a giant red flag because the demographic is already known for falling under stupid bullying tactics for their physical appearance. So I'm asking myself, okay, I guess we're along for the ride. So he did that, got an adverse reaction. That particular counterpart, significant other, took the focus off of what the comedian Rock did. That might be taking it too far anyway. Oh, freaking algorithm. Don't you dare put me on the freaking fast train. So when we have that ability to like take that away from somebody, this is exactly how this operates, right? So when you go in for a jab and you, especially on a physical scale, attack the other person, attack the originator. This happens in school systems a lot too, where the bully is using their words and hurting another person. Okay. And then if they do get repercussions in a physical manner, the one that did the physical thing gets kicked out. Okay. And the one who was doing the verbal abuse gets to stay. Thus, then you're feeding a narrative that the rest of the school society in this particular case has full access. Full freaking access to let all of whatever their inner demons are that they're not willing to sit with loose on the woman who sat there and just had the nerve to not have any hair. This is what I'm saying. This is the apathy that I'm talking about. Not just the people who don't do anything. It's the people who like just take some authority figure, popular person, and they offer up on a silver platter, on a sacrifice slab, right? Here's your next victim. Shoot, aim, fire, whatever the heck it is, right? Because her significant other did this bad thing. When I spoke badly of her, about her physical appearance. So, we as a society have severely malfunctioned when it comes to our reasonable adult response to this situation, unfortunately, because it all started from that premise. Now, I did a little bit of like scrolling through the comments as much as I could possibly take, because I'm like, oh my god. Okay, so apparently they've had beef before. I'm not sure what about. I was unaware of it. I don't pay attention to that. What I do know is that it was blowing up on social media one day. I don't even remember the freaking, I don't know. I was like, at that point I considered stopping subscribing to the particular page because I'm like, I really don't. But what the general consensus is that it's her fault that her significant other took the actions that he took, which, what in the, okay. How do we get to that point? Because she did something that they both agreed upon that she could do. And I can't understand that part of it. But what I'm assessing here is the part where she is getting bullied, not only for sitting there and not having any hair, but now she's getting bullied because her bully was attacked by her significant other in a physical way. So she started it because she sat there and had no hair. She sat in her authenticity. She sat in her own skin and presented herself to the world just as she was, with some makeup and a nice dress or something. I don't know. I didn't really see her. I'm sorry. But anyway, so you get the constitution we're working off of here, the basis. This is apathy at work. Now you have a whole internet full of people with inner demons that they refuse to sit with, verbally crapping all over this woman because she went to an award show without a wig on and sat there. And if you think that boils up to something or down to something more, I don't know what to tell you. I just, we need to stop with the whole making bullying okay. Because it's starting to feel like the people that were bullied back in the day are just making money off that continuum of bullying. Now, you can talk about different social constructs of how the woman should never be allowed to cheat, but the man can do whatever the heck he wants. Keeping in mind, the same comedian, used the P word, which we marched against an entire continent, marched against a president for saying the word and doing something not nice with it, or assuming that he could do this not nice thing to the P word. And this comedian used the P word in his logos, in his performance, like he had no other word or positive adjective or acronym or whatever the heck it was to describe an entire half of the population. The car parts were more important than the what possibly could be considered sometimes human. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, so we've come a long way, but we have a really, really long way to go. A long, long way to go. Because he's accusing her of not doing nice things, all the while using the P word like it's going to go out of style tomorrow. And not assessing anything else to that particular demographic of people. Okay, so the irony of that whole thing, that's what I found the most hilarious, is because he paints himself as the victim, which at one point he did become that because he stepped back in that bully cycle. this is why you can't have nice things. And now he's doubled down on that and really outright bullied her even further. Even further, he's taken it. He's doubled down on it. Now we have a social premise and a standard that we've set. Can we take that narrative back? Okay. We need to take the narrative back of, no, I'm not going to engage in the begging for bullying narrative. I'm not going to enter that paradigm of existence any longer. I'm not going to join in on poking fun of some lady who sat there and had no hair and got picked on for it. And she's not responsible for the choices of her significant others. I mean, you can't convince me otherwise. Even if she told him flat out, if you don't go smack him, he still has something that's supposed to say, I love you, but that's not going to ever happen for any reason. Okay. And that might be why he put so much emphasis on the feminine power and how he gives so much of his hard-earned money to the P word, feminine power. Oh. You see the cycle yet? Do you see that pattern of toxicity? Okay, he's treating someone like they're nothing. Like they're just another joke to be had. Okay. He gets results for doing stupid shit. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, that whole narrative. Okay. Which, not excusable, but again, the stupidity was to be had and the stupidity got furthered and then the stupidity just got doubled down on. So now the only responsibility the other party has is to step back and not engage. It does not mean that he has won. We are about to enter the most transparent time in history this globe has seen in a long time. So, not engaging is sometimes your best ally when it comes to an actual argument with another person. Not necessarily when it comes to you witnessing it. If there's atrocious things happening to another person, you can speak up and say, that's not appropriate. We don't need to behave like that. And I find it just hilarious that he's like, I had parents. I had people who raised me. And all I could think of is, oh my God, those people must have been really mean. That's kind of as like, ooh, okay. Or at least towards women in general, but that's kind of, yeah. It's always been the narrative, lady. What the fuck? I know, but like, it doesn't mean it has to be okay, and it doesn't mean we have to accept it. So, again, coming to terms with the reality of what apathy actually is. So we don't need to take up arms against, even though society is going to ask us, come on, don't you want to get in on the argument? No, you don't need to do that. You can ask people to stop bullying. How about that? Can we stop verbally and physically abusing one another and call it a day? Can we just do that instead? Again, and that's the other thing coming in, is like that black and white narrative is going to go away. Those apathetic people are not going to be too happy when those black and white waters get really muddied with gray, because now, where do I go? There's too many options, and they're going to find themselves in a world of panic and difficult navigational I don't want to say patterns necessarily, but the navigational pathways that they've taken in the past are no longer going to be available to them on either side. Because both ends are going to meet not happiness. So the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 800th pathway is going to had to be found. This it's going to be a really good time for innovation and inventions and new ways of thinking things through, new ways of coming to a broader conclusion on things, new ways of seeing not just people, but problems and how to solve them. And everybody needs different medicine based on whatever the heck their constitution consists of. All problems do not need the same exact solution. We can go about things in a different way and maybe fine-tune everything and bring things together and then make a solid way to go through it. But we're going to start coming at things from different angles and understanding problems in a really different way, which is going to make room for this like psychological issue behind all disease really, really the forefront, I think, of medicine and how we function as a society as a whole. Because if we're constantly inundated with stress and flooding our adrenal glands, we're gonna keep having the same health issues over and over and over again. So now we're dialing it back and dialing it down into this intelligence that merges what you can see in the physical, but also what's happening on the inside, which is oftentimes metaphysical, what you cannot see. Even with body scans, this energy, frequency, vibration that, we're just using words and putting spells on each other or cursing each other, right? Those have real effects. And so we're going to start to operate on a different paradigm, and we are going to have to start vetting ourselves, and we are going to have to start understanding that cursing people and things that we do not particularly need to be rid of exactly probably shouldn't be allowed, or you should probably refrain from that. Now, I'm not saying we take away freedom of choice. I don't think that should be a thing at all. But I think that we are going to, as a species, as a whole, start directing our energy in areas that, like, if you are going to use the B word, it's going to be more uplifting, in an uplifting tone. If you are going to use the C word, you're going to use it more like the Australians use it, right? If you're going to come to a place of understanding, what it means to be in relationship with yourself and with others, you're going to find a different way to communicate, to move forward, to expand, to recreate the structures that we have been lifting up for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. I would be willing to bet maybe even a redoing of the wheel, not just the medicine one, but the Wheel of Fortune. New ways of seeing how these interlocking systems actually function in an ecosystem for the betterment and health of all. Yes, every aspect and fractal has a good and there's a positive, energy, and then there's like one that takes away and is more toxic, right? But those are modalities that we get to pick and choose. And if we just build the environment that facilitates a better way, a better path to get to a conclusion that is for the highest good of all, rather than suffocating people into these little boxes and having them believe that if they are attacked in any way, shape, or form, that they have to retaliate in such a way. Because we've created that environment already. And so we need to reconstitute everything. We need to reconstruct things on a very cellular level, starting with your own personal surroundings. The thoughts that you're thinking are not bad. They're just asking for an assimilation of a full presence of you with yourself to understand how this little pebble that is you and your frequency, energy, vibration is going to ripple through the pond that is life. So dialing it back, reining that trigger in and being like, I don't want to partake in making someone who's clearly already suffering and who has admitted to the general public that she's had a difficult time of life in a very physical way, not just an emotional, mental, psychological, in a very physical way. We don't need to bring her down. We don't need to bring anything like that down. She needs to be uplifted. She needs to be encouraged. She needs to, not necessarily be coddled. That's not how personal growth happens, but it's holding space for, rather than shutting out and shunning. Being supportive and uplifting rather than, I'm sure that her health is probably going to deteriorate after this if her inclining is to read any of the vitriol hatred that's now being spat in her direction. So opening yourself up to that idea and then the new dynamic of living rather than following what the authority figure says, because that's all that has to happen. All that has to happen is, even if you would have said it on a subconscious level or, just brought up something kind of and pinged it in her direction, the society would have followed that and she would have caught flack for it. So again, the bullies are always going to be the more authoritative, situational positions in this vast structure, ecosystem, if you will. So oftentimes when you find vulnerable people, you'll find people in a place of more authority or an oversight, right? That are going to introduce the concept and idea that it's okay to go after this person. It's totally okay to tear them down, and it's totally okay to judge them, humiliate them, shun them, belittle them, and, push them out. So that's how it starts. It doesn't start with one little kid going, I don't like this, blah, blah, blah. That's not how it starts, ever. It's always a person of more authority making one comment. That's all that's required. One little comment of bullying a kid and belittling, boom, done. And then the parade starts of passersby that keep going and just targeting and whatever else. So keeping that in mind and not falling into the apathetic crowd and trying to keep people in check when they do. Okay? So moving forward, keeping the adrenal glands in check and keeping the apathy to a minimum as much as you can, setting that solid structure for yourself to operate in so you can vibrate that frequency out when you are moving through society at the moment. Okay? I love you, and until next time, keep your flame.